of Shanghai. Well, the early time would be set by Peter Prus. Wang Meiying not far away, and Zhao with a good performance too. But none of them would be able to lead with the main man on the day, Alexander Golovash of the Minsk cycling team. He take the first orange leader's jersey of this year's tour. So from the Wuxi prologue onto the Wuxi circuit, and that will be the first road stage of the week. A short one for the sprinters again, and a very warm, sunny skies. It was so fast that the early break wasn't allowed to stay away. Intermediate sprints mopped up by Vilia Triestina Southeast and Jakub Mareczko, who had won the race the previous year. The break that did get away was brought back together with 5 kilometers to go. Mareczko was led out by his Vilia Southeast teammates and was able to complete the job for win number 1 of this 2016 edition. Mareczko beating Marini between the duel of the Italians, 1-0 to last year's winner. So Golovash continued to lead by 3 seconds, but Mareczko with bonus seconds up to 6th. And on to stage 2, moving on from Changxing to Wuxing, the south of Taihu Lake, and some beautiful hotel architecture. We were treated to some traditional dance. The riders, a serious job of signing in as the weather had changed to murky skies. The breakaway went away, and it was chased down by a combination of Nippo Vini Fantini and Vilia Southeast. Originally at 7 men, to break down to 3 when a careless crash happened back in the peloton. Thankfully, no injuries, and with 20 kilometers to go, the gap was going down to just 2 remaining leaders, Koreya and Popkov, choosing to have an argument rather than ride together. A crash at 3.6 kilometers to go saw hot break for the leader, Golovash out of the orange jersey. In the meantime, the man in the green, Mareczko, will be looking to swap the points jersey for the general overall classification lead. He did his bit, won the sprint, and would take over that orange jersey. 2 from 2 for Jakub Mareczko. So Mareczko in the lead by 6 seconds from Nicola Marini, Korami remaining in 3rd place, and Bailey of Australia in 4th at 7 seconds. Well, a change to this edition would see the riders go south, into the countryside, into the hills, and up to Anji, the mountain stage, the one that surely would decide the overall general classification. Bad weather, though, hampered efforts to try and show the mountain stage on the day. This is where they started, stage 3, 106.3 kilometers, starting from the Hello Kitty theme park in Anji. Heading for a couple of laps around the edge of the city. Intermediate sprints as well there. That before the final approach to the mountain, an 18-kilometer climb, not too steep in gradient, but the length and the poor weather would surely affect proceedings. Or a very, very rainy start. Poor conditions, and it'll be a really hard day for the riders. It'll be a while before a breakaway was allowed to go. Breakaway did contain some top teams though. Intermediate sprint really was a sideshow for what was to happen towards the end of the day. Latvian team at Rietma, who've been so strong in preparing the sprints, mopping up the points. In the meantime behind, it was business time for those in the break and looking to chase them down. And once the climb began, Jakub Mareczko would cede his advantage. So we'd have a new leader whatever happened. Mareczko knowing that on the climb as a sprinter he would not survive against the pack. And the breakaway knew it was just a matter of time before those who wanted to win the stage and the race overall would catch them. So with a mountain in the distance, it's time to stretch out and see what riders had left. It's about to get very cold, and visibility would drop almost immediately to absolutely nothing. First attack came from the breakaway as they hit the wet roads of the climb. Deadwood shed at the bottom, and those big thick leg sprinters knew that the final 18 kilometres was not for them. St George Merida were one of the teams trying to take it to the rest of the peloton. Jay Dutton, their climber, the man they were trying to put in the right place. Nipovini Fantini brought a team of sprinters, so chose to get a man in the break on the day. A couple of crashes and coming together in the dark further back in the peloton didn't help things. And approaching the final 10 kilometres, the peloton would come for the breakaway behind. Villiers South East would be working for a combination of Yonder Godoy and Giuseppe Fonzi. Fonzi recently in the top 10 at the Tour of Hainan. And Yonder Godoy, as the sprinter was dropped at the back, a very talented Venezuelan climber. First attacks would come from the peloton. And Victor Niño, at his 43 years of age, would be the man to start things off. Villiers tried to control things behind, stringing the peloton out. And with the gradient at just 4 or 5% most of the way up the 18-kilometre climb, it will be a very, very fast ascent. So Niño going again, and yet more weaker riders shed out the back. 3 or 4 tunnels on the way as several riders started to lose the wheels. Delco Marseille well represented, and young Van Engelen of Park Hotel in the main group as well. Fonzi was there, and Cameron Bailey too, the Australian, 26 years of age, targeting this stage in the colours of attacking Team Gusto. 5 kilometres to go, and it will be Bailey's turn just to turn on the power. Giuseppe Fonzi following him well. And those who wanted to be a part of this group from behind had to make their move at that point. Yonder Godoy was one of those riders. Another, Colorado. So Godoy's attack would to be chased down. And once the visibility disappeared, into the final kilometre or two, Cameron Bailey would make his own attack. Leo Duque in the group chasing on behind, an exceptional performance from the sprinter. But Bailey would hold off and finish just a handful of seconds ahead of Duque, now riding for the French team Delco Marseille. He couldn't see much until he got there, but Cameron Bailey did enjoy his win when he took it, his first as a professional on the UCI calendar. Cameron Bailey taking the stage.
The climb was really fast. I was in the big ring for the whole thing, so that's just a sign of how quick the climb was. So it was not like your normal climb. I was making sure I was saving energy a lot more than you normally would on a climb, trying to follow wheels and stuff. So the whole way until maybe 2k to go, I was never hitting the wind. I was just staying behind people, and then maybe a k to go. After a few attacks I just went as hard as I could, tried not to look back. And my first UCI win and my first overall jersey I've had at a UCI race. So we're going to try and protect it as best as we can. I believe we can do it, and yeah, we'll do everything we can to keep that jersey.
Before protecting it, he would enjoy it and lead by 14 seconds from Giuseppe Fonzi, with Godoy in third at 17, Duque fourth, and Wong in fifth. Bailey, the new leader, in orange.
Jacopo Marezco, Villiers South East, sono contento di essere qui al Taihu Lake per questo tour.
So the Tour of Taihu Lake, stage 5 is coming up. Starts in Nantong, heading all the way to Haimun. Longest stage of the race, should be one for the sprinters. We'll have finishing laps and a very slightly better weather forecast, with the sun just trying to poke its head through the clouds just to the northwest of Shanghai. Well, setting off from Nantong, you can see it's a heavily built up area, heading out towards the industrial area right on the banks of the river Yangtze. And as we just saw with that little update to the race situation, stage 3 did change the race. Cameron Bailey now in the lead. Cameron Bailey, just 26 years of age, riding for Ataki Team Gusto, and showing that he really has grasped his moment after a string of consistent and successful performances in the last few Asian races as well. Well, when we come back in just a moment, we'll be showing you the best of stage 4. Stage 4 was one for the sprinters, and it was a race where Cameron Bailey himself had to just hang on, finish in the peloton and make sure that everything was done correctly. Thanked his team for a good piece of work on that day. Moving on, this would be the area in Nantong where they would start stage 5. Stage 5 of 7 altogether. 8 if you include the prologue, of course, at the start of last weekend. And we've moved north of Taihu Lake now into the built-up area. Nantong for stage 5 before the race moves west in 24 hours, and then west again into the countryside for the final stage on Saturday. Well, the temperature not too much improved on the previous couple of days. Certainly participation had disappeared, but an improved forecast going into the weekend should bring better weather towards the end of this race.
Hello, I'm Cameron Bailey and from Ataki Team Gusto, and welcome to Tour of Taihu Lake 2016.
The Tour of Taihu Lake moves on, and moves on showing off more of this wonderful region of China. It's one of the most visited in tourism. It's also one of the most scenic and built up at the same time. Maintaining tradition whilst advancing in industry, this really has opened eyes to everyone who's visited and taken part in this race. Next up would be Wujiang for stage 4. And Wujiang combining the ancient and the modern extremely well. In one shot, able to see how the architecture changes from that next to the river at which we're looking now, to the huge tower blocks and offices that were visible from the race route on stage 4. So from the hills and Anji, the race would move on. Stage 4 would take place entirely in Wujiang. So riders came to sign on amongst very windy and cold conditions for a flat stage. Well, I'm delighted. Extremely happy to have the Tour of Taihu Lake here. It's a great opportunity for Wujiang to show off what we can offer. I'm sure the riders will enjoy every moment of riding on our roads. It's great to see amateur participation as well as the professionals too. And I've seen lots of smiling faces here at the start today. I sincerely hope for plenty of success and a good day for all.
很契合我们吴江这个江南何处好，乐居在吴江的城市发展理念。
So after the opening ceremony, it would be to the course itself. A pretty simple one, really. A brand new highway that had been constructed. 117.4 kilometers in total, 6 laps of the course, with a start and finish on the same South Zhongshan Road. No real elevation to speak of. Should have been one for the sprinters. 2 intermediate sprints along the way.
Today will be very fast. And yes, we will work probably to arrive at the sprint and to do our best.
Arrive at the sprint, do their best. Who would be the best, though, at the end of the day? So far, it had been Jakub Marečko dominating in the flat finishes. Nicola Marini, the rest, hoping to try and change that dominance. There's a little bit of wind blowing out on the course. And the race position right on the edge of the city allowed you to see both the ancient and the modern. Attacking Team Gusto would have the race lead, and they put a man in the breakaway to try and calm things down and have an element of control. Iranian team Tabriz Petrochemical would try and bridge across. In the meantime, in the peloton behind, Nippo Vini Fantini, Villiers Southeast, the team's looking to control things. Intermediate sprint would look like this. And once Villiers Southeast took control, it will be they who would attempt to set up the sprint. Into the final corner, they seem well positioned with the Latvian team Rietmu for the second sprint stage in succession, also up there at the front. But look out for those orange jerseys of Nippo Vini Fantini. In the end, coming around and finally able to get the victory that they'd hoped for since arriving in China. Marečko in the green on the left, boxed in. Marini, the 23-year-old from Italy, getting the 7th victory of his career. And he was pretty happy about it.
Yeah, it's been a very long sprint. My team did a good job. Unlucky Stacchiotti had a flat wheel in the last 2 kilometers. Colli helped me. I did an amazing sprint.
So despite that problem with the flat tyre, Marini was able to overcome it. He finished ahead of Marečko, with Leo Duque crucially taking 4 bonus seconds and finishing 3rd. Could that be useful for the overall? It would on the day, because it moved him up to 3rd at 15 seconds. But Cameron Bailey had a good day. He maintained his lead, 14 ahead of Fonsi. Stage and the day, though, belong to Marini.
Hi, I'm Shinichi Fukushima, the team manager of the Nippo Vini Fantini. And this is a 3rd race in China this year, and we try to hope win the stages.
So you've seen stages 2 and 3. Stage 4 and the sprint just played there for you. Stage 5 is what's coming up next. You can see that the atmosphere is a little misty today. The sun is trying its best to poke itself through the clouds where we sit talking to you at the finish line. I can promise you that. Let's see if we can get some warmer temperatures for later. I know that the riders felt the wind on stage 4. They're certainly dressed up and wrapped up for another sprint ride on stage 5. Images you're looking at now came from the start in Nantong. Nantong right on the Yangtze River. Actually has 5 separate ports in the town of Nantong itself. One of the first cities to really open up to the rest of the world in China. Extremely established, and again goes on as far as the eye can see. On the road I can tell you that there are 9 riders in a breakaway. Attacking Team Gusto again controlling things and getting a man up there. He's Ben Hill. And Ben Hill will be looking to be as serious as possible in the breakaway this time. controlling everything from the front. In good company as well, and I think forcing Villiers Southeast to do most of the chasing. So the longest stage is coming up. In fact, heading between two different districts of one single city. Haimun, where we finish, is just a district of the city of Nantong. And 148 kilometers from start to finish, with laps at the start and 4 laps at the end. And those 4 laps taking on a circuit that has seen the amateur sportif race take place in the morning. Lots of top quality gear on show, some very eager and enthusiastic riders around. So the spectators who've bothered to make the trip down will have been treated to 2 race finishes and a couple of high-octane sprints, I'm sure. So can Marechko grab one back over Marini, or will Marini make it 2-2? That's the question. Maybe a third party involved in the sprint. We'll have to wait and see. For now, there's a breakaway to chase. I can tell you they had a gap
My
of 1:30.
name's Jay Dutton. I'm from the Australian Continental Team St George Merida, and we're very excited to get underway with the 2016 Taihu Lake.
So this is the stage 5, 148 kilometers. A couple of laps in Nantong before the 4 finishing laps we mentioned. Up off Guangzhou Road and finishing on Zhangjian Avenue. Flat as a pancake towards the end. So the Yangtze River, flowing thousands of miles from the west, merges into the sea in Nantong. And the peloton will merge together to sign in the morning. Again, a very cold morning, a windy morning in the east of China. Cameron Bailey in charge of the race. Well, I'm the manager of Ya Ju Li. sponsor of the Tour of Taihu. I'm very much looking forward to this race. The Tour of Taihu is now a global event, and I hope it can be extremely successful. I'm really looking forward to having a great day here, and I'm sure all the athletes are as well. So this is how they lined up at the start. Again, the cold weather gear was very much in evidence. Dignitaries firing their guns. And no neutralised zone here at the Tour of Taihu. Attacks would come from the very start, so a stressful start there for Jakub Mareczko, right on the front of the peloton. Race leader Cameron Bailey just behind, orange jersey on underneath the Team Attacchi Gusto gilet that he was wearing to keep warm. Lots of arm warmers you can see as well. And there are those attacks that got straight away. 9 riders got in front, and amazingly they managed to stay in front. It wouldn't take too long for them to get a bit of a gap. So Ben Hill following from Attacchi Team Gusto once the likes of Maar had attacked. Matthias van Aken there as well, the Belgian rider for Start Vaxis, who've been in every single breakaway so far. And the 9 riders were gone to take sprints number 1 and 2 in the first hour and a half of racing. A very good morning from China and the Tour of Taihu Lake 2016. Break of 9 riders at the head of stage 5. There's Ben Hill from Attacchi Team Gusto, and what an atmosphere it must be in their team. They have the race lead at the moment through Cameron Bailey. 61 kilometres remain. They've got a gap up the road, the 9 riders, of 1 minute and 15 seconds. In the pink there with them is Darcy Ellerim Norton. He's an Australian riding for Team St George Merida. And meanwhile, at the back of the peloton chasing on, they know that the rest of the riders involved are Ma Guantong, Altanzul Antansuk, Andrei Vendolsky, Nazari Daglian of Iran, Matthias van Aken, Melerim Zorten, Genki Yamamoto and Jan Andrei Kuli. Now, that group seems to have been whittled down in the last few minutes. 6 remain at the front as the weather, as we saw at the bottom, not the warmest, with the wind building and perhaps becoming menacing later on. Intermediate sprint early on was won by Ben Hill. Maar came second, with Vendolsky coming across in 3rd place. So bonus seconds and points mopped up by Attacchi Team Gusto. Sprint 2 then looked like this. Maar still there. You could see that Attacchi Team Gusto doing a fantastic job of working so hard. Really, really well thought out. Nobody could get around the Australian's wheel. Kudos again to Ben Hill, gaining, if anything, towards the line, beating Maar right to that finish line. And Altanzul Altansuk of the Chinese team of Hangshang coming 3rd. And following that sprint, that's where the breakaway group seemed to split again, losing a bit of dead wood after 1.5 hours of racing. And once Ben Hill had got away here, Maar followed him. They seemed to stay out and leave those 3 who couldn't contest it behind. So Hill, Maar and Vendolsky on sprint number 1, 5, 3 and 1 respectively for the points. That's for the green jersey classification. And 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds as well. Sprint 2 looking like this with Hill and Maar, the same order, 1st and 2nd, but the Mongolian rider Alsantuk in 3rd place. He'd take a point and a second. 1 minute and 30 as we go back live to the race, 59 kilometres to go. We're expecting a sprint today, and these are the riders in the break. Yamamoto, Hill, Altansuk, Ellerim Norton and Nazari Daglian. And they're joined by Vendolsky, the Czech rider. So 6 riders up the front. Riders coming on to the finishing circuit pretty soon. And they're 1 minute and 30 ahead of the peloton, who I think will be pretty happy with this situation right now. All the work down to the sprinters team of Viglia Triestina Southeast, and not particularly to Nippo Vino Fantini. They got the win just 24 hours ago as they're approaching the finish line for the first time here. Getting the win and being able to make sure that they were in the breakaway the following day. No chasing for Nippo today, and they can save all of their energies for trying to make sure that they are out there in the break and able to chase things down and organise a sprint at the end. Can they beat Viglia for a second successive day? That's the question. In the meantime, there's another building story that's bubbling under as they go over the finish line for the first time, and that is Leo Duque. Third in the sprint yesterday, 4 bonus seconds, only 3 days of his professional career remaining. His team have been helping to ride at the front, and it's a bit of an achievement really, because there's only 3 other riders in the team left on the road other than the Colombian Duque. Of course, if they continue to be up there in the sprints and take bonus seconds, you could see Ataki Team Gusto's orange jersey under threat by the end of the week. Duque now up to second in the overall general classification as we see the peloton come through. We'll get a good timed gap here. 1 minute and 25 was the last estimation. As you can see, they're fairly strung out at the moment, so the chase is on with 57 kilometres to go. It's nice that the sun's made an appearance as well, just as you've joined us live. So the peloton about to cross the finish line, led by Viglia Southeast. Rietmu are there as well. They've been there or thereabouts organising the sprints, and Leo Duque's team Delco Marseille Provence in the peloton as we get a brief shot of yesterday's victor Nicolas Marini. There's Quentin Valogne as well, the sprinter who's not quite been able to be up there for Novo Nordisk as he might have liked. So 4 laps to go then. Again, it's that pair of Tedeschi and his mate up the front for Viglia. That's George Merida not far behind, RDS team as well, with their Colombian granddaddy Nino, 43 years of age. And the green jersey of Jakub Maniczko on show. 56 kilometres to go. It's almost time to get switched on and get ready. But of course this gap very, very manageable with the distance we have remaining. Almost 100 kilometres into the riding today of what is the longest stage of this 7th edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. 1 minute and 20 seconds is the gap, and quick little glimpse down the left-hand side before he hid away from the camera again in the blue of Leo Duque. There's Cameron Bailey on the left-hand side in the leader's jersey. We'll talk more about Bailey, we'll talk more about Duque, possible permutations for the overall general classification as this morning progresses. And the green jersey there of Jakub Maniczko just behind, looking to sew up the points classification. So with the riders that have gone away, the pace has slowed down in the last hour or so. It isn't going to be the rapid, quick day that we thought might happen. Confirm the breakaway Hill, Altansuk. Yamamoto is there as well. 192 was Vendolski, the Czech rider. Mars, the rider at the back, the Chinese rider in the white and red. And here in the orange, Cameron Bailey. It's been quite a few days for him. First experience in a leader's jersey in a UCI race. First win as a professional cyclist. He knows that you're all watching him down under in Australia live as well. So a very good afternoon to you in Australia. Lots of you, I'm pretty sure, willing this young man on to victory in a stage race. It's all very new, the media attention at the end of it, the interviews he has to do before. Jakub Maniczko's a man who's very much used to that as a sprinter, used to winning races. Of course, it's the overall prize that's up for grabs as far as Bailey's concerned. He has his stage win already. Can he hang on? But his biggest threat at the moment, it comes from Leo Duque, not from anybody in this breakaway. Leonardo Duque has one professional stage victory to his name. That came 10 years ago in the Tour du Limousin, race in the west of France. And Duque is now 36, and he's at 14 seconds from the overall general classification. He also retires in 3 days. And there's Zhong. Wang Meiying is now on his way to the World Tour. This will be his penultimate race in the Wang Wisdom Hung Sheng Podemy colours. He's the best Chinese rider in the race. He's off to Bahrain and Vincenzo Nibali's team. They've already devised his calendar as well. You'll see him for the first time on the World Tour at the Tour Down Under at the end of January. So there's Ma, his teammate in the break. Fendolski in the yellow and black. And this is Yamamoto. He's had a really hard-working week, the man from Nippo Vini Fantini. Japanese rider in the Italo-Japanese team. And Dukla Praha have done plenty more than just make up the numbers here. Ellerin Norton in the pink. He's one of the 2 Australians in the break. And Ben Hill. He's in the yellow and black at the front, representing the leaders team. That's a tacky Team Gusto. Well, plenty of bike paths and lanes. This is a heavily industrialised area where we finished today in Haimen. But it's got the feeling of a new town about it. Everything constructed to improve workers' lives, give them their leisure time and try and get them out on their bikes. And we saw great evidence of that in the amateur race just a few hours ago. Really good to see lots of real cycling fans and pretty serious athletes as well lining up. They had all the kit, some deep section wheels and very expensive carbon frame bikes. We even had riders wearing skin suits, and I'll tell you what, they were brave riders because we were talking 5 or 6 degrees this morning. Look at this, all strung out. Bit of a surprise maybe with the gap at just 1 minute and 25. But we're on flat roads, flat, long, straight roads. And look at this, Delco, Marseille, KTM committing riders to the front. The sole reason for that is the presence of Leo Duque. He's a Colombian rider now, naturalised as a Frenchman. He's the man on the left-hand side, just gone out of his shot now in the light blue jersey. Yellow Delco Elbrum off across the front. 36 years of age now, the man from Cali in Colombia. Started out as a track rider actually, as we look at Cameron Bailey now. Bailey himself has come through the Australian development programme. Bit of a late blossomer at 26. But a win in a stage race at UCI level would be certainly something to catapult him to fame worldwide. There is the aforementioned Duque on the right-hand side of the shot now. Second of the 2 riders in the blue jerseys. As we come to another Colombian on the left. Victor Niño. Excellent on the climb the other day, and well, he's a good 7 years older than Leo Duque, but he's still going. Duque will stop his career. Very good career it has been, including, by the way, a win in a stage at the Vuelta a España, one of the 3 Grand Tours. It came almost a decade ago. 3 more days for Duque. Can he take this orange jersey off the shoulders of Cameron Bailey? That's the question he'll be asking. If he's to do it, he'll do it through bonus seconds. There are no other stages, really, apart from on the last day where we have a couple of small climbs that really lend them opportunities to anything other than a bunch sprint. I've spoken to a couple of the sprinters and they think that even on the last day, despite the hills, there'll be an opportunity or 2 to bring it back together for a sprint. A couple of climbs up to 100 meters. But of course the last few kilometers are going to be pretty either downhill or on the flat on that stage. Remember, 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds on the line every day. Duque has already finished in the top 3 on 2 occasions in sprints. He's finished 2nd, he's finished 3rd. Can he be up there for the next few days. So just under 50 kilometers to go then, on stage 5 of this tour of Taihu Lake.
Hi, I'm Shinichi Fukushima, the team manager of the Nippo Vini Fantini. And this is a third race in China this year, and we try to hope win the stages.
$50Ks to go then. Lovely to see so many people on the side of the road watching this. For many, it will be the first experience of professional bike racing at this level. And it's the first experience at this level for Ataki Team Gusto, believe it or not. Certainly having the leader's jersey in a race like this. Their compatriots from Australia, well, it's their first 2.1 race. As we see a couple of the remaining riders being taken back in. They were out in the breakaway earlier on. That was Matthias van Enken of Start Vaxis. Alongside him was Nasari Dakhlian of Iran. Ella Norton goes back to the car. Talked about one Australian team who has the lead. Taki Team Gusto for St George Merida. It's the first ever time they've competed in a 2.1 race. Never mind had the lead. So Nazari Dadian in the white there, the Iranian who we just mentioned, is going to be swallowed straight back up by the peloton. Matthias van Aken as well, Belgian rider riding for the Serbian team Start Vaxis. And we've seen Chris Mancilla, the Chilean, in the top 10 a couple of times in the sprint, but the biggest moment for the team in blue there, just shaking the hand of his friend from Iran, has been provided by René Correia, who's been in the break a couple of times. So still Drapari, still Tedeschi working at the front. Delco Marseille, KTM, continuing to chase things down. That's the Yangtze River in the background. And here's Darcy Ellerum Norton on the left-hand side. Ma in the white there. And 120 behind the peloton. It has sped up somewhat in the last few kilometers. One straight long line. And Villiers probably don't want to take any chances today. Taki Team Gusto, it's been an easy day for them so far. For them, it's all about avoiding crashes, avoiding silly moments, keeping their own man in the break as long as possible so they don't have to ride at the front. They'll be very happy with the situation right now.
Altna van Engelen of Parkhotel Valkenburg cycling team. It's definitely great to be here at Lake Taihu cycling tour.
You're watching live coverage of the Tour of Taihu Lake 2016, and we're into the final 46 kilometers now of what is stage 5 on the road of this race. Day 6, as we had the prologue, remember. Leading since stage 3 has been Cameron Bailey of Australia. He took the big mountain stage that we didn't see very much of at the time due to the weather. Thankfully, the sun is breaking through the clouds now, and it's actually a decent forecast for the next couple of days. In terms of what's happening in the race, I think we're forecast to sprint today. 1 minute and 15 seconds back from the 6-man breakaway. Started the day as 9, by the way. 6 left up the front. And look at this, one long line. Delco Marseille KTM doing a lot of the chasing. It's because they have Leonardo Duque as their sprinter. Sprinter who came second on the mountain stage. Of course, he's not the pure thick-leg sprinter we saw on the track in the early 2000s. He's now since developed into a very well-respected road captain, a bit more of a ruler who can climb a bit. I think the Fran Ventosos or the Jose Joaquim Rojases of this world. But in what is his retirement race, he could be set for a farewell and a golden one too, or let's say an orange one with that leader's jersey. Job still to be done for Ataki Team Gusto, who've been going about their business pretty well. They have their man in the breakaway. As the best young rider in the race, that's Lucas De Rossi. Young rider who's only been on the road for a couple of years actually. He's come from mountain biking. He's wearing the blue jersey, and you can see he's on domestic duty as well today. That blue jersey stuffed full of bidons and bottles, gels and bars. And this is the race as well as the mountain stage where they'll have to eat the most today, the longest stage. Still relatively short as far as professional bike racing is concerned, 148 kilometers. And the fact that it is pan flat as well on beautifully tarmacked roads will make it that bit more fast. So the locals have done a great job remodifying this, what was industrial wasteland on the banks of the river Yangtze. Lots of greenery, lots of parks, plenty of sports facilities too. And this is what this race is about in part as well. It's not just the elite level of cycling, it's about increasing participation, which you've seen evidence of already this week. Participation in the breakaway is very good here. Look, everybody rolling on and through. Nobody really hanging on or being lazy, having to coax anybody else into doing work. That's the only way there is even the minute possibility that they may survive on a course like this. Look at it, long straight roads. Lunchtime. I don't know what it is for lunch for Ma Guangtong. Wisdom Hengshang rider, and it's a team that's had a really good week so far. We've had Zhao Jingbiao up there, and before Wang Meiyin in one of his final races for his 3rd division continental Chinese team. Has taken protagonism with the red jersey. He's also in the top 5 overall too. So still an outside bet to take something if he can get involved with bonus seconds and the like. But at more than 20 seconds back, it's a little more unrealistic. 1-2-2 there is Altenzul Altensuk. Altenzul and Altensuk from Mongolia, 24 years of age. Former national champion, in fact. He's ridden quite a bit in China this year. For the famous tour of Qinghai Lake, which is widely recognized as the most famous race in China. Problem for global recognition is that it takes place at the same time as the Tour de France. .44 k's to go, 1:20 the gap. Again, evidence from the air this time of everybody working together. And some nice views close up on the side of the road. A little bit of conversation here. Now, is that the Nippo Vini Fantini rider Yamamoto just deciding that he isn't going to take his turn? It's interesting if that's the case. Be very surprised if that was the case so early, but we'll see. In the meantime, Altensuk looks like he can't do another turn as well, so this could be a bit of a crucial moment for the breakaway.
Ready.
Because there are 3 intermediate sprints today. The next one of those is coming up. Perhaps conversation as to who wants what or who will be allowed to go for what. Meantime in the peloton, there's the orange jersey, Cameron Bailey. Bailey's had a really consistent year actually. Some really good results in Asian stage races. He finished 7th in the GC at the Tour of Japan. Up there in Japan Cup as well. 5th in the Kokonosha Tour in Poland, which was a 6-stage race. Also top 10 in the Tour of Thailand, top 20 in the Tour of the Philippines, and a good start to the year when he finished in the top 30 at the Herald Sun Tour. Remember, a race won by Chris Froome, the Tour de France winner. 3rd season for him at this continental level. Been in Singapore as well. Can he make it his 1st stage race win? Second in a leader's jersey anyway today, so it's all a learning experience. The media commitments are part of that as well. pressure that everybody's looking at you in the peloton, side of the road, the presentation, and the mental aspect of how you handle the pressure of being in the lead. Right-hand turn coming up then, and this is what it'll look like when we come towards the finish line, by the way. When we come through here, there'll be 3 laps to go. Intermediate sprint coming up at the next passage of the finish line. So how they take this on, there's Ma at the front, Hill looking in and around at the moment. You can see the gap's gone down to 1 minute and 10. That's because Yamamoto is going to go for this intermediate sprint. Hill is there as well. Just behind him you can see Wondolski chasing on. Yamamoto at the front in the orange. It's a long, long way to hold out here, and I think Hill's got on the right wheel. Intermediate sprint then is playing out. Hill comes around him. It's really good stuff. Wondolski, though, trying to get in the slipstream. 50 metres to go here for Hill. He's won the first 2. Hill's out in front. He knows he's got it, and that's a really good job. Well done from Ataki Team Gusto today. So Ben Hill out there to take his 3rd sprint of the day. That's 15 points. And 9 bonus seconds mopped up as well. So good stuff from Ben Hill. And of course, with nobody being really dangerous in the overall general classification out there in the break, it means that Ataki Team Gusto don't have to do too much riding behind, if any. A little bit of messing about before we got to the intermediate sprint, just reduced the gap one bit. There is Sofiane Merignat, by the way, the Frenchman chasing on for Delco. The 19-year-old rider, just racing as a stagiaire, in fact. Started out life pretty well as a stagiaire at the Ronde de Lizard. 16th place overall there. Then came to the Tour of Hainan, where he through the finish line. Of this. So 110 then. 41.6 kilometers to go. And out they go away onto those straight roads once more. It's a fairly simple finish. Nice and wide corner going into that final bend. Positioning will be important as we take that Sprint 3 result once more. Ben Hill, Andrei Wondolski and Genki Yamamoto, the Japanese rider, in 3rd place. So here's the sprint once more. Yamamoto through the middle. Had to go for a real long one there, 300 meters out, and with Hill playing it clever onto the wheel. He knew to go from 150. The Dukla Braha rider behind, attempting to try and take something Wondolski, but Hill had the pure speed to get away, and he's performed a fantastic job today for his team. Back to the peloton then. 40 kilometers to go. Gap's growing again at 1:15. I think they'll be pretty happy to keep this under control for another couple of laps. So 40 kilometers to go. Gap out at 1:15. We're off for a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment with the rest of this stage 5.
Marezco, Villiers Sautis, sono contento di essere qui al Taihu Lake per questo tour.
So there are around 40 kilometres to go. So the breakaway still out there. Peloton pretty happy to hold them where they are at the moment. No real rush to bring this back just yet. In the meantime, we get a moment's relief to look on to Nantong. Nantong did begin life as part of the ancient Chinese civilization, but it then transformed into what was known as the first modern city in China, the earliest self-designed and totally managed model city by Chinese people. But it's never forgotten its culture that's very, very entwined with the river and the sea. There's 5 ports I mentioned just in the city of Nantong. The heavy industry, and of course the relationship with Shanghai just down the road. In sporting terms, Nantong does have a pretty good pedigree as well. 18 world champions in different sports have been born here. And as far as that industry that I mentioned, much of it is to do with the textiles. One of the 3 largest distribution centres for home textiles in the world. In fact, turning up the hotel last night, there was a conference on.
Hello, I'm Cameron Bailey and from Ataki Team Gusto, and welcome to Tour of Taihu Lake 2016.
Back at the Tour of Taihu Lake 2016, it's stage 5. The breakaway stayed out there and still motoring on, 37.5 kilometres to go, and after messing around a little bit for that last intermediate sprint, the final intermediate sprint of the 3 on the menu for today, gap had gone down by about 15 to 20 seconds. They've since been able to recover that. 1:25, everybody's made friends again, and we're all working together in harmony. The look around there from Ella and Darcy Norton, just to make sure Genki Yamamoto was going to play the game. Looks as though he is. And this is Vendolski, rider from Czech Republic. Back in the peloton. Still collaboration between the Italians and the French. Villa Triestina in those yellow luminous jerseys with the grey and red on them. Easily identifiable by the bikes and the helmets. The blue for the French team, Delcourt, Marseille, KTM. They were at this race last year under their former guise of Lapon Marseille. That's when they were a development team, but they decided to move up to the 2nd division this year. Professional continental level, invest a little bit more money, try to compete with the big teams. Hasn't been the most successful of first years at Pro Conti level, but it's always a very difficult transition. Well, we're getting news of a rider out of the peloton and try to attack things, and you can just see here it is starting to break up again. 1:30 of a gap. Yamamoto looks like he's struggling to close the wheel. Same with Vendolski. Is that Vandolski saying enough is enough? Ciela and Norton was the man who originally closed the gap. They will know these roads now. They've completed the first lap. 2.5 of these laps remain. You can just hear the wind, a little blustery out there today. Probably not quite enough to make sure that teams can make the difference in any crosswinds. But never say never. That's Altanzul Altansuk, Mongolian rider, the former champion who we were talking about just before the last commercial break. In the meantime, guess who they're supporting? And here he is, Ma Guangdong, as if on cue. Chinese rider riding for the Chinese team. And he's going to get plenty of a big cheer as he comes past. And trying to ride together with Altansuk. In the meantime, it's Ciela and Norton who's the man trying to close the gap. Plenty of smiles and first taste of professional bike racing. It is one of the most accessible sports that you can find on the planet. I mean, you can ride on the same road as the pros ride. Get on the famous mountains. How much does it cost to have a game and a kickabout at Wembley, eh? That's nigh on impossible. Leo Duque and his dream as a professional there in the blue is almost over. 3 more days as a professional bike rider. Will he end it in the win? This is the lone attacker we've had. He's come from the Brazilian team. It's Diniz. Diniz, one of 5 Brazilians in the Funvic Sol Cycles team. That they're a professional continental team, a 2nd division team from South America, racing most part on the UCI Americas Tour, although they were in the Tour of the Algarve at the start of the year. He's just got a handful of seconds on the Villiers Southeast train. Orange jersey there, spotted coming past, and there's the green jersey of Jakub Mareczko, way down in the peloton. That's because there are still 34 kilometers remaining. Can expect in the next 15 kilometers or so, he'll slowly move up to the front and be in the right position. And the good news about the racing today, look at those big wide roads that we're on. There's plenty of space with which to move up. And I think had being boxed in yesterday, he would have been a bit disappointed with that towards the end. His team, as they have done ever since he landed on Chinese soil, has been working extremely hard for him. Look out for that man though, 2nd in the train of riders in the blue. Leonardo Fabio Duque, who's actually a points race specialist when he was on the track. He's gone on to have a very good road career, mostly in French teams, hence his naturalisation as a Frenchman. Did play a part as a road captain though in Claudio Corti's Team Colombia. It came to that very sad end a couple of years ago. Repercussions in the press and the arguing over where the money went still carrying on there. So you're looking at the main group, 130. Plenty of excitement at the front though, attacking each other, and I'm not sure it's the right moment to do so, because if they're to have any chance of surviving, they have to work together. Maybe that combativity prize is exactly what they're looking for. We talked about sports facilities, by the way. Look at this as an example. Brand new soccer pitches that have just been built. There's the bike track on the right-hand side as well. 5-a-side pitches as well. Well, Chinese soccer and football have made a big investment in the last few years. You've seen that in the professional league with some big money signings, and just in the last couple of weeks, Marcello Lippi has been appointed as the national coach. Marcello Lippi of Juventus fame, of course, and Italy World Cup winning fame. He no longer has the cigarette in his mouth on the subs bench, but he's enjoyed it over here. He actually won the Asian Champions League for a couple of years in succession with Guangzhou Evergrande, one of the biggest football teams in Asia. Meanwhile, on the road, this is what's happening. Two riders at the front, one from China, one from Mongolia, both riding for Chinese teams. Ma Guangtong in the red and Altanzul Altansuk in the white. This, in the meantime, is Soufiane Marigna, the 19-year-old stagiaire who we were talking about a moment ago. Only his second stage race since joining as a stagiaire. The RTS team in the pink and black. That's the Lufshan team in the green there, the light green. Thought they had a stage yet where Vitaly Popkov has an attack towards the end. I wonder if he'll turn up on cue with 20 kilometers to go. And this is the head of the race. Ma Guangtong riding well with his mate from over the border in Mongolia. And they've got company now. Darcy Ellerim Norton of Australia in the pink and black. The lead of the race is 3.
Jakub Marezko, Villiers Sautis, sono contento di essere qui al Taihu Lake per questo tour.
Three up the road, Ma Guangtong, Altanzul Altansuk, and now Darcy Ellerim Norton. Darcy Ellerim Norton on the left-hand side. He'll be allowed just a couple of minutes to recover. Wearing 176 on his back. He's one of the taller riders in the peloton here this week. Ma just coaxes him into the middle to go through and take his turn. St George Merida, after missing out on the general classification places that they were hoping to challenge for this week, it's left to them to try and push on the road and offer what they can. Certainly their sponsors will be happy. They've been in breakaways. The last 10 kilometers have ticked away and they'll be approaching the finish line yet again for the next lap pretty soon. Gap has gone up to 1 minute and 30. There's Adna van Engelen on the left-hand side there, the climber who was very close to success the other day. Genki Yamamoto's adventure is over for the day. Latest rider from the break to be swallowed up by the chasing peloton. Darcy Ellerim Norton there. This is the biggest race of his career so far. He only joined in the summer at St George Merida. He's a Kiwi himself. Rode at the Tour de Singkarak in Indonesia. Finished 31st in the GC there. Best stage placing in 12th on the final stage to Padang. Did take part in the tour of the Yangcheng coastal wetlands last week. So this is the biggest race of his career, the Tour of Taihu Lake. Finished in the main group on each and every one of the stages so far.
My name's Jay Dudden. I'm from the Australian Continental Team St George Merida, and we're very excited to get underway with the 2016 Taihu Lake.
Ma Guangtong at the back in the red and white, part of the three-man breakaway now that leads this stage 5 of the Tour of Taihu Lake. Darcy Ellerim Norton in the pink and black. He's the young Kiwi riding for St George Merida of Australia. And at the back there, the rider from Mongolia, the former national champion, Altanzul Altansuk. Now, the rider in the middle has been used to being in breakaways in the last few weeks. He's actually the king of the mountains at the Tour of Hainan, down on Hainan Island, tropical region of China in the South China Sea. A little nervous look behind from him, but it's not quite to that stage just yet. They're approaching the finish line. This will be the third passage of the finish for these guys. There will be 2 laps of this finishing circuit to go once they go across the line. 1 minute and 25 seconds, and despite the lead, you have to feel for them. It's a bit of a fool's errand, this. There are some very hungry sprinters behind, and some pretty powerful teams to chase them down. It's a circuit that has very little terrain to play with. Very flat, wide open roads, beautiful tarmac. Ideal conditions for a chasing peloton. 28 kilometres remain, and 2 laps of this 14-kilometre circuit still to go. Pain faces already on these riders. It is a thankless task, isn't it, being in a breakaway? It's where the true spirit of cycling really is broken down. Sacrificing yourself for the greater cause. Basically hurting yourself out there in the front of the race. And when it's on telly too, everybody's watching you, sort of self-flagellation. Not a pretty sight sometimes, but it's certainly valiant. 1 minute and 20 the latest time check. Well, that'll be a much more accurate figure once this lot pass the line in a minute. In the meantime, Murilo Alfonso alongside Carlos Manarelli chasing on. 2 Brazilian riders, and this is a team that should have been a little stronger than it has been this week. They are one of the 5 second division teams here, and we've hardly seen them. One failed move in the crosswinds to Wuxing, and in the sprints, nowhere near up there as you might have thought. Jakub Maričko just coming back from the car, I think, there. One final chat with the sports directors about how they will play this. It's both riders and sports directors getting a good look at the approach, good look at the course, but pretty sure that there's nothing too technical for them to take on today. There's confirmation of that little Brazilian duo's advantage, just 10 seconds on the peloton. Villiers Southeast and Delco Marseille. Rider in 3rd place there is a rider to look out for. And let's not forget Giuseppe Fonzi either. We'll see if he didn't have to work really for the man in green here, Jakub Maričko. We'd be considering him much more of a threat to the overall general classification with bonus seconds. Fonzi still in charge of looking after Jakub Maričko. He's at the green in the back here. As far as the final sprint's concerned, will the win 24 hours ago have given Nicolas Marini that confidence that perhaps he was lacking at the start of the week? It's interesting looking at each and every one of his victories actually so far. They've all come in the Far East. 6 of them in China, 1 at the Tour of Japan, and all in the space of 18 months or so. So he's an up-and-coming rider. Has won in Qinghai Lake, has won at both the Tour of China 1, Tour of China 2. Races that follow each other in chronological order. Tour of China 1 just in mid-September this year. That was his previous win up to now, so a 3rd win of the year, all on Chinese soil for Nicolas Marini. Only his 2nd year as a professional. Does already have a contract for next year, so it'll be interesting to see if he's given a go at the Giro d'Italia or any of the other Italian stage races next year, Tirreno Adriatico, to see how he does mix it with people. It's the Giro d'Italia team for Nippo Vini Fantini is centred around Damiano Cunego, breakaway opportunities, and it was that effort at the King of the Mountains jersey this year. Breakaway approaching the final 25 kilometres at the Tour of Taihu Lake Stage 5. Helen Norton looks behind. It'll take a lot longer to get over the line if you keep doing that. I suppose that's the problem with this course as well. There's nowhere else to look, either straight ahead at the dual carriageway. We've seen some beautiful, pretty areas of the Taihu regions, but I'm afraid this isn't particularly one of them for this finish. Riders have been greeted by factories along the way. Good news is we've got people on the side of the road. They've done their best to regenerate this post-industrial pot of land. A peloton behind. 1 minute and 25 further back on this road. Still Villiers, still Delcourt Marseille. No change at all at the front of the group. And Villiers have not had any help with the chase. That is, I suppose, the positive side of the tactic we've seen from Nippo Vini Fantini. Getting a man up there in the break has meant that they have not had to chase. Now, if this breakaway does stay out for a little longer, does keep this gap, then you will see Nicolas Marini's team coming to the front to help the chase, because their man in the break has since been absorbed. For now, though, just seeing Villiers' team use a bit more energy up. .24 kilometers still to go. That sunshine that turned up a little early on has taken his hat off again. In the meantime, Ma has put his work hat on. Attacking, going, oh, and Ella Norton, look at that, look at the camera, I'm finished. I am done for the day. So that is St. George Marida's presence in the breakaway over. Ma looking really strong here. He wants to be on the podium at the end of the day. Remember, this is their most aggressive rider prize. And this Wisdom Hengshang team has proved itself to be one of the strongest at this race this week. Good recovery for the former national champion of Mongolia there. Altan Suk. It's an interesting team, the team he's riding for, actually. They have an almost entirely Mongolian lineup at this race. Villiers riding the centre of the road there, but I'm sure you saw from the helicopter shots, actually, there's the fantastic possibilities that designing a new town opens up is that you can design bike paths. Look at that, left and right, able to show off the accessibility of being on a bike in China. And as not a regular visitor to this area of the country, I've been really pleasantly surprised by that this week. It's been certainly something that, where I live in the west of Europe, we can learn from. Lots of provision and space for riding bikes. Altan Suk on the left-hand side in the white jersey of the Laval team. Working together well with Ma. In the meantime, 23 kilometers to go, and attacking Team Gusto have just upped their game a little. Moved up the orange jersey on the shoulders of the leader, Cameron Bailey. One minute and 30 for the two up the road. This is the Brazilian pairing we saw not long ago. Still in no man's land. You can only think that this is a last-ditch attempt to get the jersey on the telly. They're actually on their way, and they've got the lead in sight, but of course long straight roads doesn't mean you're particularly close to making the catch. This is the right-hand turn. Still another 8 kilometers to go before we go across the finish line for the penultimate time. They'll get the bell. Now Delco Marseille to the front. This is interesting. And a real opportunity to try and put everybody else under pressure. Is this the moment where they're going to try and put attacking Team Gusto under pressure? Into the corner, and we'll have to change. We'll see how it unfolds right after this.
Hi, I'm Shinichi Fukushima, the team manager of the Nippo Vini Fantini. And this is a third race in China this year, and we try to hope win the stages.
Approaching the final 20 kilometers, Delco Marseille KTM riding at the front and riding to try and put the general classification teams under a bit of pressure. The orange jersey at the moment is on the shoulders of the leader. The leader, of course, is the Australian Cameron Bailey. Attacking Team Gusto, a little further back in the peloton, put under pressure immediately here by Delco Marseille KTM. Perhaps they weren't happy with the rate at which this was coming back from the breakaway. Peloton is closing in quite quickly on the break. Getting a little bit of help from the RTS team, who also have riders from Colombia and also have riders quite high up in the overall general classification. All riders, I'm sure, who want to see Leo Duque finish his career on a positive note. This is the bit of excitement that possibly today's stage has been lacking so far. Again, the straight, wide, flat course doesn't particularly help with that. In the meantime, head of the race is down to one rider. Altanzul Altansuk leaving Ma behind. Oof. He won't be leaving anybody else behind. There's not 1 minute 30 there. It's all coming back together with 20 kilometers to go. And this is going to be really difficult control now for the sprinters teams. There is Lucas De Rossi right at the front, best young rider in this race. So they've got two things to ride for, really, Delco. And there's that stage win as well. They haven't had one of those yet. Thomas Vaubourze, who was the most aggressive rider on race stage 1, pardon me. He's the man doing the work at the front, right, number 4 on his back. And they only turned it with 5 riders, did Delco. And they only have 4 left, with Frederick Song-Galton not starting the first stage. Reaction straight away from Villiers. They're bringing the yellow jersey up towards the front. Let's just say the green jersey, pardon me. Sprint's jersey. And attacking Team Gusto, looking after their man in the orange jersey, also moving to the front. So good reaction from them. Panic over for the moment. The breakaway is going to be brought back, but Delco Marseille KTM very much taking the race to everybody else. There's the orange jersey, brilliantly placed towards the front of the group.
Adnan van Engelen of Parkhotel Valkenburg cycling team. It's definitely great to be here at Lake Taihu cycling tour.
We head towards Haimen today, stage 5, right on the banks of the river Yangtze. Leaving Nantong, one of the largest cities in this part of China, even in the shadow of the giant that is Shanghai. It's a home to a huge nucleus of population and the real industrial motor in China's economic success. On Nantong and Haimen open to the world. And exports leaving one of its many ports on the river Yangtze. This is where we're headed then. Let's go and hear from the locals. Well, as the Vice Mayor of the Haimen Municipal People's Government, I'm delighted to welcome the Tour of Taihu to Haimen. We're a progressive city, open to these world events. I'm delighted this has become a global event, and I hope the development of sport will continue to keep my people happy.
这样的一个形象，我想都具有非常非常重要的意义。所以我也祝愿我们这一次的公路自行车赛再一次的取得圆满的成功。谢谢大家。
Back to the race, back to the peloton, and we're a bit of an impasse right now. This has come back together. This was the moment that everything ended for the breakaway. Delcourt Marseille bringing things back. Mar was the first to be brought back. Altan Suk, though, didn't last too long out in front himself. Now this is a sprinters team's worst nightmare. Race coming back together with 18 kilometres to go. It's not the longest of stages, it's the longest of stages this week, but of course in relation to professional racing around the world, 148 kilometres isn't very much. It's a flat day, we have fresh legs, and a rider such as Murjan Halmuratov of Beijing XDS Innova cycling team has been allowed to attack. Luckily for the sprinters teams, nobody went with him just yet. But if one or two riders are able to bridge across here, that will make it a very difficult chase into the final few kilometres. We're approaching the finish line, by the way, for the penultimate time. And Halmuratov has opened up a few seconds of a gap. Suspect he's got a little bit of a help from the motorbike as well there. 34 years of age. He's been around for a long, long time. He's ridden in Malaysia for the Terengganu cycling team, one of the top teams on the UCI Asia Tour in the last few years. Ridden in China, has ridden in his native Uzbekistan as well. And has been the national time trial champion on 6 occasions, no less. So he's a gifted rider. 7 wins of a professional. There's Cameron Bailey. Had a brief worrying moment when Delcourt Marseille just decided to put the pressure on. I don't think they were ever going to stay out there on this flat course, but just wanted to make his team panic, doubt themselves, do a little bit more work than they thought they might have to do. And here's Wang Meiying. Wang Meiying, the red jersey, on his way to join the very best in the world of cycling on the UCI World Tour, which the International Federation has confirmed. There will be 18 UCI World Tour teams for the next 2 years, 17 the year after that, and then down to 16 by 2020. How long will he be able to stay there? Can he have success? All questions we'll see answered on the road in the next couple of years. There's Jakub Mareczko. Well, time to put the business head on for him now. Start Vax's team behind as well. We'll be looking to put Chris Mancilla into the top 10 again if they can. Chilean sprinter. And we've seen some really good results so far for Bogdanovic of Rietmu Latvian team. They're in the blue jerseys, just at the base of your screen there with the darker blue panel on the shorts. Park Hotel Falkenberg as well in the green jerseys there, just behind the leader in the orange. They're looking for Zanotti, their Italian sprinter. "16 kilometres to go then. Halmuratov, 6 times national champion in the time trial. And of course his 6th participation in this race, so he's been there almost every year on the Tour of Taihu Lake, a veteran of the Tour of Taihu Lake. With 15 kilometres to go. In the meantime, well, no explanation needed there. Well, there you go. You can tell that the rhythm isn't that high at the minute in the peloton. Rarely do you see a comfort break from a sprinter in the last 15 kilometers of a race. I'm pretty sure we didn't need to see it anyway, but rarely do you see it happening. You'd say the last 40 Ks you need to be switched on and ready. So this guy isn't obviously putting them under too much pressure and strain at the minute. Almuratov, you can actually tell. Look at the peloton behind. It's bunched up. It's wide across the road. The speed is pretty tame for this part of a bike race. This would be the last kilometre then, as they come through the next time. You could just see the red triangle hanging over the road. That's the Flamme Rouge, the red kite that we denominate the last kilometre with in cycling. Final 500 metres will take place on these straight roads here, so the turn coming with about 600 to go. Last look at it for the peloton before the bell goes and they go on the final lap. Trapani at the front, Tedeschi behind. Tireless job for those Italians this week. And the peloton still fairly relaxed, 20 seconds. Green jersey safely back at the front. Pretty amazing. I don't think Jakub Manečko would be advised to do that at that particular period again in the race. But maybe he feels that in this particular race the competition is relatively that poor that he is able to do it. He's obviously pulled it off. Still might get a slap on the wrist from the sports director there. 20 seconds. Well, the leaders team forced to do probably a little bit more work than they would have expected today. I think they'd have been pretty happy to see the sprinters teams do the work for them, Ataki Team Gusto, but just committing one man. Almuratov, no real dangerous to the overall general classification. Currently in 58th place overall. So only there out of honour rather than anything. It's the sprinters teams who need to control this 23-second gap, but with 13.5 Ks to go, they will feel that they can do that. Now, look at the big man in the centre here, and he is a big man. He has the thighs of a track sprinter. Quentin Valogne. French rider, hoping to do better than simply top 10 here. He's Team Novo Nordisk's sprinter. And if you've never heard of Team Novo Nordisk before, they have a rather unique message. That is that elite sport is possible when suffering from diabetes. They want to change the image of diabetics, so changing diabetes is their slogan. They hope to do that by not simply being professionals on the circuit, but also winning races. Javier Mejías, their Spanish rider, has been the most successful in doing that. They could do with a sprint win or two. They have Martijn Verschoor as well, the Dutchman. Fast man for the finales. In the meantime, it's a thankless lap task, pardon me, being the man to chase out there. Trapani still out there. And there's Zhao Zhongbiao with Wang Meiyin just behind him. Red jersey. Abdulyon Akbarov at the back, he's the teammate of the man out in the front. Almuratov, Van von Engelen again, easy to spot with his minute size. You could have all the aero bars in the world, but you're not going to hold off the peloton from this point. Even Tony Martin had struggled today. This is the speed at which he's travelling. So they're through the finish line for the penultimate time, onto the final lap of this 14-kilometre circuit on stage 5 of the Tour of Taihu Lake 2016. The green jersey's the man to watch out for again. Jakub Mareczko, winner of 2 stages so far, overall winner 12 months ago, but he knows he has competition now. Nicolas Marini has kept himself nice and hidden and protected throughout this 148-kilometre flat stage from Nantong. And he'd do well to show himself because we're approaching the final 10 kilometres. 25 seconds in the meantime for one sole leader, that's Muradjan Halmuratov. He's a time trialist, so he's pretty well used to being out there, nice and low down and aero. Travelling a bit too quick to get a good selfie with anyway. At the moment, Peloton pretty happy. Villiers Southeast is the team charged with doing the majority of the chasing here. Taki Team Gusco have just taken their man out. It's about keeping the orange jersey protected here. And here come Nippo Vini Fantini. Winners 24 hours ago, and that would have settled the camp down very well. Professional continental team coming to a race where there's only 5 Pro Conti teams, 8 stages up for grabs. If you don't win one, I don't think you'd be very popular when you went back to the office. It's the last big race of the season for Nippo Vini Fantini. They have their first pre-season training camp for 2017 starting in around 10 days' time. They want to be able to turn up at the hotel in Italy with a job for 2016 well finished off. 22 seconds now for the breakaway. Good to see Novo Nordisk having that presence at the front. And there's Dukla Praha in the black jerseys. The Stop Vax's team looking for Chris Mancia. He's the man on your screen on the left-hand side, the big Chilean. And it's all smiles amongst the Villiers boys, even chatting with the opposition there. You rarely see it this relaxed heading into the final 10Ks of a race. Hong Mei Ying hoping to hold his top 5 general classification position. So he'll be keeping an eye on the orange jersey as they go in. 10 kilometres to go on stage 5 of the Tour of Taihu Lake 2016. 20 seconds for the sole leader. Muradjan Halmuratov attacked about 10 kilometres further back down the road. That's after the initial breakaway had come back together a little earlier than the sprinters teams would like. And it is those sprinters teams now who have to do the chasing, namely Villiers Southeast, the favourite team to take the win. Jakub Mareczko, he's the man who won the opening 2 sprint stages. Mountain stage taken by the Australian Cameron Bailey. For once we got the sprints going again, Nicolas Marini was able to beat Mareczko, with Leo Duque coming 3rd and adding another little twist to the general classification plot. He took 4 bonus seconds, and if he can do the same today, he'll be creeping up on the general classification with 2 stages remaining. If you're looking for the Colombian, look for him in the blue and white jersey of Delco Marseille KTM. So no real fight for position yet. This is a strange approach for a sprint stage. A little slower than we would expect at this stage. Then you have to be careful, because if the pace isn't increased here, you might get the odd opportunity to go out and attack. Anybody does get out very late, 2 or 3 riders together, that is when it will become dangerous. This man on his own isn't going to cause any danger. Gap down to 16 seconds now. Still the same 2 riders for Villiers Southeast. Drapari and Tedeschi. Those 2 have worked so hard all week. There's Yonder Godoy. slipped down in the overall general classification. Giuseppe Fonzi now the highest ranked rider for Villiers. And there's the race leader on the left-hand side in the orange. Ten seconds. Peloton with all the major jerseys in. Orange the leader, Cameron Bailey. Green is the one you're looking at for in the sprint from Villiers Southeast. That's Jakub Mareczko, the sprinter. Blue jersey, Lucas De Rossi, working for Leo Duque here towards the end. He's the best young rider. And the red jersey on the back of Wang Meiyin. He's the best Chinese rider riding for Hangshan. Almuratov from the Beijing XDS team. Feeling he hasn't got too long at the head of this race left. Men's cycling team third wheel. They've had a bit of a nightmare since they lost the lead. They lost their leader as well, Alexander Golovash, who had to climb off the race injured. I can tell you that he's been back at the finish line today, watching on. Had a ride over on his bike to keep the legs ticking over. They do have Jain Sobal still there, Serhej Papok. Also lost Stanislav Bashku on stage 2. So down to just 4 riders, Minsk. So back into Haimun we head. This is the final time around the town itself, before we go ever so slightly out of town and onto that straight road for the race finish. And at the minute this is a job being very well done by Villiers. Not too under pressure. Not having to ride out the skin here. Still a long way down in the peloton. Time to move up for a few teams. And Zanotti, the Italian sprinter from Park Hotel Falkenberg there in the light green. Just moving up on the left-hand side. That's Marini too in the orange. In the meantime for Villiers, they're way down the peloton with Jakub Mareczko. 6.4 kilometers to go. Ducal Blaha joined the chase. That'll be a welcome development. Just needs an injection of something, this. Here come the Funvik team too in the orange jerseys. The main orange jersey of the leader will be pretty happy with how this is going. Perhaps would like it a little more strung out and quicker just to make sure that everything's nice and safe. Ducal Blaha, who, as we said earlier in the week with Medan Kadlec, actually took the overall general classification. I think it was the 3rd edition of the race. They're a team that has ridden every single edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. Come here every year and enjoy it. They've been part of the development of this now global product. 5.5 kilometers remain. St George Merida team contributed to the breakaway today. They are very, very tight. No sprinter for them at this race. Almuratov's time out in front. How long does he have left? At the moment, it looks as though he'll be called at just the right time. Well, that's good. On the radio, ready to go. What can they produce? Funvik Soul Cycles just join the action with Villiers. Meantime, still desperately needing to move up is Jakub Mareczko. He's been down near the back for quite a while. A couple of their riders on the left-hand side pretty content to let another team do the chasing. And for Draperi and Tedeschi, they're the riders who've most ridden all week long. And there is Mareczko, right in the centre of the group, towards the back half of the peloton. He does have riders to help him out. Fonzi on the left-hand side. and his lead-out man, Rafael Andreato, the Brazilian. Just over 4Ks to go. Another straight section of road. The next time he takes the right, that will be into the finish line. Still to be caught, Halmoratov. And the Funvik Soul Cycles train trying to put something together. A sprinter waiting at the back. There's Diniz working at the front. Rider with number 11 on the back. A little bit of a fight for position now as we're approaching the final 4 kilometers. Still out there in front is Halmoratov. Is there a moment where you start to believe? Well, probably not when you look back and see the chasing peloton approaching very quickly behind. Again, he's used to riding at the front. He's used to riding and hurting himself as a time trialist, using every bit of the road that he can. But so's the peloton behind, a little bit more strung out now. Villiers are leaving it to other teams, though, to burn themselves out today. It's the Funvik team. Riding on the front with 3.5 kilometers to go. Park Hotel Falkenberg not far away. Green jersey of Mareczko still in the center of the bunch, but moving up. I'll say 25th to 30th position right now. Dukla Praha not far away. And as if on cue, the Rietmu team are approaching the front too. Nipovini Fantini hiding, waiting, cards close to the chest. As for Attacky Team Gusto, it's all about getting the orange jersey into these final 3 kilometers, into that neutralized zone, whereas if there is any incident, any crash, any mechanical problem, we'll have the same time as the main group given. Halmoratov not far away. Here comes another attack off the front. This could be dangerous now for a few of the sprint teams. Maybe accused of leaving it late, and it's Tabriz Petrochemical on the attack, being chased down now by the team from China, Hangshang. Taki Team Gusto doing a really good job of keeping the orange jersey to the fore as the green jersey of Mareczko advances. For Marini, I think he's just trying to hang on the wheel of Mareczko, wait and come around him to try and take the victory again. 2.8 kilometers to go. Park Hotel Falkenberg just following their main man, Zanotti. And still Halmoratov hangs out with 2.7 kilometers to go. Attack from the Iranian team's been brought back. Here come Nipovini Fantini then. Victors the day previously, approaching the front and not wanting to mess this up whatsoever. So Marini in a very good position right now with 2.5 kilometers to go. Mareczko has some positioning to do. Still blocked in, blocked out. And they're just making it up onto the wheel of Marini now. So they're the tactics for the day. Wait for Marini to go and follow him. 2.2 kilometers remain, and Halmoratov's day in a little adventure is about to be over. Who takes it up from here? Well, it's been Villiers, Vini, Fantini, both the teams from Italy. Villiers and Nippo. And here comes Rietmu. Bogdanovic has been their main sprinter this week. Rietmu Delfin. Mariusz Bogdanovic wearing number 141. There is Marini, who won 24 hours ago. That is Mareczko in the green. All the main sprinters are present at the front. Zanotti not far behind. He's racing for Park Hotel Falkenberg, remember. Zhao Jingbiao there in the red as well. It's Wang Mei Ying doing Quite a bit of work at the front as the best Chinese rider. Nippo stringing this out, and Marechko getting himself now onto the wheel of his lead-out man, Rafael Andreato. So just 2 left for Villiers Southeast. Nippo Vini Fantini fighting for position as we're approaching that final corner into the final kilometre now, and this is going to be a fast finish. Maric Bogdanovic has been put in the right place. Can he surprise the rest of the big sprinters and take a victory? Marini is there. He has his lead-out man to do his job. Final corner's taken on, and here come Nippo Vini Fantini, and well, Marechko's already a little boxed out. He's got work to do just to make the wheel. That could be key towards the final couple of 100 metres. This is a really good opportunity for Marini to take yet another win. Marini is there as Andreato moves up on the right-hand side. Marini waits at the back to launch his sprint. Here he goes on the left. Marini is going. There goes Marechko as well through the centre in the green. Marechko is there. Marini on the right-hand side. Marechko is in the green. Marechko hitting the front, but it's Marini going. Marini through the middle, and this is going to be another win. This time it is another win for Nippo Vini Fantini. And Nippo Vini Fantini, I think this time with a different rider. I'm pretty sure that could be Edouard Grossu. We'll have to take another look. We didn't get a great angle going across the line. It looks as though it is Grossu the winner. And this is the victory. It is not Marini, in fact, who waits behind. This is Grossu getting the victory. Victory for the Romanian Grossu. Marechko beaten again. Nippo Vini Fantini with a plan to beat them. So super stuff from the Romanian. Grossu there in the perfect lead out for Nippo Vini Fantini. They came with a team full of sprinters. Marini today decided to do the lead out. Grossu at the back, the 24-year-old, taking just the 4th victory of his professional career. And my, did he enjoy it. So, Villiers Southeast messing that one up ever so slightly. Nippo Vini Fantini, that was a stage that was there for the taking. Flat, wide roads, a slow day. And a peloton that at times looked as though it didn't even want to take the win. Nippo Vini Fantini getting 4 riders around the corner, positioned brilliantly. And if it was Marini 24 hours ago, today it will be Eduard Michael Grossu of Romania. So victory for Grossu, the Romanian, 24-year-old's 4th career win.
Congratulations, what a fantastic sprint. Talk me through the last kilometre.
Yeah, it was so dangerous at the last corner. My team worked very good for Marini, who was 3rd, but he did the sprint I think at 200 meters, and at the last 50 meters I go, so I win. It's my first victory after 2 years, I think. I was some problem, but now I hope all is good from now.
And fantastic for the team. 2 wins in the last 2 sprints, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think we win all the stage from today to the last stage, we hope.
And so for the rest of the team, you're just feeling good, but I mean, tomorrow it'll be back to Nicola and sort of see if he can win again?
Yeah, we are for Nicola tomorrow, and the last one stage, I hope to win again, because I'm also in the general classification, so we try to do a hard stage. Maybe we change some things in the leading.
Brilliant, fantastic. Go and join the rest of the team and celebrate. Well done.
So Grossu there explaining that it was for Marini today as we initially called. He came round in the final 50 metres to take the win.
Hello, I am René Corella. I'm a rider for Starbucks Partisan. And we're here at Lake Taihu to try to win some races, right?
So Eduard Michael Grossu, the Romanian who hadn't won for a couple of years, picking up the 4th victory of his career. He previously won in Estonia at Qinghai Lake and the general classification at the Tour of Estonia as well. He'd been close in the Giro del Piemonte He'd been close at the Romanian Cycling Tour as well, but a rider who'd had his injury problems, as he explained. Rode the Giro d'Italia this year, got through it, finished it. That will have helped the legs. And, well, top 10 on the final stage here on a day where he did the work for his man Marini. He came around, had a go himself in the final 50 metres as Marini launched it early and ran out of gas. And that is the way they were able to beat Jakub Maričko yet again. So a very, very fresh team, Nippo Vini Fantini, getting a man in the break worked for them. And Grossu was able to take the win. And no change to the overall general classification. And Cameron Bailey will still lead. 3 hours, 20 minutes of racing, ending with Grossu taking the win in the longest of the stages this week at the Tour of Taihu Wake. 24-year-old now, in his third season as a professional with Nippo Vini Fantini. That'll be a very nice victory to take into 2017 as he'll begin again. Well, it's been a long year for Edward Grossu. Started out in January at the Tour of San Luis. Still racing right towards November. But he's finished 2016 with a victory.
Hello, I'm Cameron Bailey and from Ataki Team Gusto, and welcome to Tour of Taihu Lake 2016.
Victory for Edward Grossu of Romania ahead of Turmel of Germany and Maričko in third. Marini fourth, Lippens fifth, with Popok there and Zanotti all in the top 10. Good news for the overall leader, Cameron Bailey, because Leo Duque wasn't amongst the bonus seconds. Neither was Giuseppe Fonsi. Bailey leading by 14 seconds at the moment. Maričko still leads the points classification. Marini second, and his lead of 11 points. Wang Meiying still the best Chinese rider. Zhao down to fourth place there. And Lucas De Rossi, well, he's unchallenged really, 31 seconds ahead of Machado. So he remains the best young rider, the Frenchman, in the blue jersey with 2 stages still to go. The news from stage 5 is that the lead remains unchanged. Cameron Bailey still in orange, the victor of the day. For the first time in 2 years, Edward Grossu of Romania. Goodbye.
Sainty, you good to go for an interview? I might be able to get Jakob down here. Yeah, I can go live, I think, yeah. Jakob, not quite the result you wanted today and yesterday. So what's been happening in the last sort of sprint?
So today we was behind the Nippo, but Andreato start when we go up out of the curve, and I was behind, and I can do a good sprint.
But the legs are still good. You're still very confident you can hold on to the green jersey and maybe win a sprint in the next couple of days.
Yeah, my objective is the green jersey, and now I'm in a good position, and I hope that I take it to the end of this tour.
About the course today, very, very flat, a few winds. Was it okay to control everything and look after everything?
Yeah, today the stage was hard because there was a breakaway in front, and my team worked all day to go to take it. And in the finish kilometers, I had only Andreato that can help me.
Good luck for tomorrow. I'm sure you'll get there. Thank you, Jakob. Thank you. So, Ola, a good team for Attack Gusto today. You seem to have the plan perfect and the man out with the break. A great plan.
Yeah, it really worked out well. You know, there's a million possibilities in racing, and we wanted to put Ben in the break to take a little bit of responsibility off of us, and it worked out really, really well. And yeah, all in all, it was a good day for us. Very good day.
We're a bit twitchy towards the end there. I mean, a few things going on, and not quite sure where people were in the sprints. Was it a little bit worrying towards the end?
Not too much. The thing that we worried about most were the crosswinds up at the top down here. It was crosswind there, and then immediately into a tailwind coming into the finish. And so with 2 laps to go, Delco Marseille jammed it there. So we were we kind of anticipated that, and we were on it straight away. And then after that, one rider got away for a little bit, but the Italians were sitting there. We had one guy on the front as well. And it all came back at the end, and so not too much worry. And then in the end, back on that section, we were anticipating another move, but everyone was ready to sprint, and so yeah, it wasn't too hard there. Everyone was waiting for the sprint.
And the next couple of stages are very similar to today. So does that make it easier for you to work out a plan and sort of have a game plan?
You know, the last stage looks pretty difficult. There's 2 what look like fairly decent climbs. And so we'd like to hold the jersey tomorrow, obviously, and the next day. But we're gonna take each day as it goes, and as we get towards that last day, we'll focus on that. So just stay at a time.
Top man, Alec. Tommy, see you soon. Thanks very much, Tommy.
So the words of Adam Martz there, reflecting a very good day for Attacky Team Gusto. Hung on to that orange jersey extremely well. Hoping to hold it until the end of the week. Right, selfie time for the winner. Eduard Grosu of Romania. Spent a lot of his time racing in Italy. Nippo Vini Fantini, his home, and he's brought them another victory today. First time in a couple of years he's managed to do that. Some bad interviews. Good Giro d'Italia this year though, and pretty unhappy, Jakob Maric, I think, on the left-hand side. Unhappy with how his lead-out man did the job today. Talking about Rafael Andreato and maybe following the wrong wheels. Maybe going too soon. Certainly didn't have enough once Grosu was able to come around and take the glory from him at the end. So we're just waiting for the podium. Chance to see all of the stars up there receiving their prizes for their efforts today. So, sounds as though we might be able to go and hear from the Nippo Vini Fantini sports director. Here he is, Hideyoshi Fukushima.
Another fantastic sprint, another fantastic result.
Yes.
How's the team feeling? How are you feeling?
It's great. You know, we won two stages now, and yeah, it's happy for him with the stage. And today is Nicola is not super performer, so he take it. So we have many sprinter. You know, we have 4 sprinter in the team, and it's a little difficult to manage. But yeah, we won a stage today. It's very happy. Yes.
And the stage today, did it help that you know that Southeast are going to sprint and that they're going to do some work?
Yeah.
Does it help you as a team manager to let your guys just sit back a bit?
Today we have one rider in the escape, so we don't work today, and so that's why we have enough rider to the sprint final. Yes, maybe we must work tomorrow. I don't know. I see. Yes.
And who will be the sprinters tomorrow? Have you decided yet? With 4 sprinters?
Maybe another one. No. Yeah, we will see tomorrow. Yes. Yes.
And the next couple of stages, they're very, very similar. So the tactics will be the same for you?
Yeah, we have maybe same. Yeah, maybe same. But today we have two choices, you know. So yeah, we will see the final, you know. Yeah.
Fantastic. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you.
A very, very happy camp in there in Nippo Vini Fantini, and Fukushima, their sports director, the man with the shortest holiday in cycling. I think he's off home for 4 days to Japan before the pre-season training camp in Italy takes place next week. Well, it's nice that the sun is just making an appearance again here at the finish line. Just waiting for the organisers to speed up a little with the presentation ceremony. It sounds as though that we're not too far away anyway. Of course, we'll have the orange jersey presentation too. That'll be for Cameron Bailey. Jakub Manichko, despite not winning today, remains in green. He actually extended his lead, finishing ahead of Nicola Marini. Lucas De Rossi, French rider, is in blue for the best young rider. And Wong Mei Yin, well, it looks as though, barring disaster, he has that red jersey sewn up. This is the sprint again, the final corner. Look at the positioning for Nippo Vini Fantini. Marini well positioned and ready. First rider peeled off pretty well. Stacchiotti had done well. Marechko already had to make up quite a bit of positioning here himself at this particular period. This is when Marini went, really going for it, hitting his sprint hard. Marini still going, looking to try and take the win himself, couldn't manage it, but going around him, doing really, really well was Edouard Grossu. Marechko just could not take off today. So Grossu taking the win. And arms up behind. Brilliant stuff from Nippo Vini Fantini. Tactically very, very well played. So, looks as though we are ready for podium time.
The winner of the stage, Edouard Grossu from Vini Fantini.
And Nippo Vini Fantini do get their stage win yet again. 2 from 2 now. Their rivals from Italy, Viglia, taking their own couple of stages. It looked as though they would dominate at the start of the week.
To award the stage winners, flash flowers,
And Edouard Grossu, well, it's been a while since he's been up on the top of a podium. He turned 24 in September, still just about in the young rider category. Win number 4 of his career, followed victories 2 years ago in Estonia, Qinghai Lake, and the GC at that same race in Estonia. It's a long year of racing. 21 days. He's ridden 13,000 kilometers as Eduard Grosso, and that's just in racing, never mind the training. All the way from mid-January to mid-November. That sort of season would have been unthinkable a few years ago in professional cycling, and probably still not advisable. But it's worked for him at the end of the year. And Grosso back sprinting for the victory.
The leader of the general classification is...
And here's the man who's leading the general classification, Cameron Bailey.
有请颁奖嘉宾，海南市人民政府市长杨操明先生和南通市体育局局长徐国祥先生为获奖运动员颁奖。
Let's welcome Mr. Yang Caoming and Mr. Xu Guoxiang to award the leader of the
26 years of age.
orange jerseys, flash flowers, mantles, and gifts.
哇！再次祝贺卡梅伦·贝利。
Congratulations.
Another orange jersey for him. It will be day number 3 in the lead of a stage race for the first time in his career. Well, he's getting plenty of these sponsors' helmets to take home. He'll find a way to put it on in the end.
好的，请颁奖嘉宾与获奖运动员合影留念。
Let's welcome our guests to take a photo with camera.
好的，再次感谢颁奖嘉宾，谢谢你们。
Cameron Bailey. Oh, if he's on the podium in 2 days' time, he'll have won his first stage race as a pro.
他们在讨论着什么？
Thank you very much.
好的，再次祝贺卡梅隆·贝利！哇！
Well, he got there in the end, didn't he?
接下来颁发到的是东吴人寿绿色领旗衫，获得2016第7届环太
So on from Cameron Bailey.
雅居乐地产南通至海门赛段绿衫的运动员是来自威廉东南车队的雅各布。
And Jakub Marecko. Well, these days are an hour longer than everybody else's, aren't they, at the moment? Every day to the podium. It was the same last year, although a little more busy in the presentation. He was taking every single jersey on offer.
Welcome Mr. Shi Quping and Ms. Chen Xiaoping to award the leader of the
This time it's the points jersey.
green jersey, flowers, and mantles, and the gifts.
Something he still has to fight for with Marini just 11 points behind. And there'll be quite a bit of disappointment today, I think, for Jakub Marecko.
Welcome our guests to take photo with Jakob.
好的，谢谢颁奖嘉宾，请稍事休息。接下来是运动员合影留念的时间。
It's one more photo just for Jakob and our podium ladies.
再次祝贺雅各布夺得绿色领旗衫。
Congratulations.
So congratulations indeed to Jakub Marecko, another day in
接下
green.
来颁发到的是中国体育彩票蓝色领旗衫，获得2016第7届环太湖国际公路自行车赛雅居乐地产南通至海门赛段蓝衫的运动员是来自法国马赛普罗旺斯 KTM 周期队的 Lucas De Rossi。
The leader of the best young rider.
And time to see Lucas De Rossi again.
De Rossi from Baku Masai Pattern.
French rider, young French rider from
有请颁奖嘉宾
Delcourt Marseille
海南
Provence.
市政府副市长王英军先生和雅居乐地产上海公司
Come from mountain biking.
王凯先生为获
Only
奖
been on the road for a couple of years.
Let's welcome Mr. Wang Yongjun
And it's time to change his blue and white jersey for a fully blue one of the young rider classification. He has a 31-second lead in that.
请颁奖嘉宾与获奖运动员合影留念。
Let's welcome our guests to take photo with our rider.
Well, time for the family photograph with all the sponsors and local VIPs and dignitaries as well.
接下来是运动员合影留念的时间。
It's one more photo just for Lucas and our podium girl. Wow!
And a picture he'll have enjoyed.
接下来颁发到的是一汽大众奥迪红色领旗衫，获得2016第7届环太平国际公路自行车赛雅居乐地产男
One more jersey to award.
赛段红衫的运动员是
And that is that of the best Chinese rider.
健美横翔队的
Best rider from the Greater China region.
The leader of the best Chinese rider classification is Wang Meiying
And Wang Meiying
Hangzhou.
from Hangzhou cycling team.
和南通益昌汽车销售有限公司总经理郑旭东先生为获奖运动员颁奖。
Let's welcome Mr. Yuan Feng and Mr. Zheng Xudong to award the leader of the best Chinese rider classification red jersey. Flash forward.
So he'll swap the red and white for the fully red jersey. And again, it'd be a big surprise if Wang Meiying couldn't hold this jersey to the end now. 2 more stages to survive.
再一次祝贺王美仪连续3天
Has a very healthy lead of over a minute.
来，朋友们，
Nice going away present for his current team when he leaves to join the World Tour and Bahrain Merida.
Congratulations to Wang Meiying.
Brand new setup from the Arabian Gulf.
好的，谢谢颁奖嘉宾，请颁奖嘉宾稍事休息。
Thank you very much for our guests.
接下来是运动员合影留念的时间。
It's one more photo just for Wang Meiying and the podium girls.
祝贺你王美仪。好的，感谢王美仪。
And he's off to get his recovery done. He spent enough time on that podium this week. Wang Meiying again in the red jersey.
第7届环太平国际公路自行车赛雅居乐地产南通至海门赛段感动奖的运动员是来自澳大利亚圣乔治美利达洲际队的达西诺顿。
So one more moment to go, and it's the champagne moment.
The rider of today's stage is Darcy Norton from St. George Merida team.
有请颁奖嘉宾雅居乐地产上海公司总经理樊红林先生和雅居
Well, the most aggressive rider of the day to be awarded as well.
黄海先生。
That goes to Darcy Ellen Norton.
Let's welcome Mr. Fan Honglei and Mr. Huang Hai to award the most aggressive rider.
And Darcy Ellen Norton is given the most aggressive rider.
再一次祝贺达西诺顿获得感动奖。
Congratulations.
So Darcy Ellen Norton, for his efforts in the breakaway, is rewarded. Good work from the young Kiwi, the biggest race of his career so far.
合影留念的时间。
Okay, Darcy, please wait a moment.
Oh,
It's a
and there's one
photo
more picture to
that we
take.
did with our pretty podium girls.
Podium girls want their picture as well.
Thank you very much.
再一次祝贺你，诺顿。
I think Darcy is looking forward to kiss, but
OK。好的，下面请获得各奖项领旗衫的选手登台，让我们将
And
剩余的
it
嘉宾
finally sounds as though we're ready
共同
for that
庆祝
champagne
成功
moment at the end of the day. All today's winners can celebrate.
to the stage and open the champagne together.
接下来
There you go, they've had the call.
欢迎各位。
Back comes Jakub Mareczko. Everybody wrapped up, it's freezing out there.
Our podium ladies to bring the champagne to our winners.
下面请李
Day's winner right at the centre.
今天的嘉宾
Eduard Grossu.
有雅各布，有王美仪，有达西诺顿，有卡梅隆·贝利，这一些勇士们。
粉丝们，你们的尖叫声
And a champagne moment too for each and every rider on the podium. So a big day then for Nippo Vini Fantini. They double up on their victory from 24 hours ago. Grossu this time the victor, and Cameron Bailey safe in orange. 2 days to hang on.
Thank you very much for our riders.
非常的感谢你们。好的，女士们、先生们，2016第7届环太湖国际公路自行车赛雅居乐地场南通是海门赛段的颁奖仪式到此结束，感谢各位。